Stone, I'll have him on for a while. Oh, we're live. How about that, Ben?
I want live. I figured we were having such a good conversation.
I thought we
Maybe
were
we ought to
live.
share this. And besides, it is 10:08, so for the second day in a row, we
We're
are
early.
on early.
And I mean, second day in the road, like since forever.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think ever since we moved the show to 10:10 because we were having trouble with 10 o'clock.
Well, 10 o'clock presents a problem for a lot of people, but it's special problems for us because it always comes right at the top of the hour. And that's the problem that we had with it.
And I'm just not. I'm not cognizant at the top of the hour. I need 10 minutes to freshen up.
A couple of years in the news format would have cured you of that, buddy.
Yeah,
the,
no. Well, listen,
the
I worked in the news format for several years, so
you know
uh,
how it is. That top of the hour is coming, whether you're there or not.
I used to. We used to do. Um, we used to do a tease at the top of the hour, and so sports the last element of the tease, and then they'd hit the bing. The CBS bing at the top of the hour means the news is coming.
It's called the Plinks.
So I would have to be in there, at 11:59:30,
Right.
so that everybody could do their teas and then hit the bling. And it was so funny because you really learn to live. You learn to be in there
Yes.
30 seconds early, or else you might not even get your teas. Not only that, it's the whole. There's a whole thing that developed with it, because it was the afternoon drive news, where I would lead into it with. I always said, and coming up in sports, Lou Piniella decides to leave Seattle. I'll have sports at 15 and 45. This is KIRO Seattle, a member of the Columbia Broadcasting System. You had to get, and you used to alter it because depending on, because you just had to walk it up to the top of it to 00.
Oh, yeah.
So it could be CBS, it could be this, you could say Seattle, Washington. It was a million different ways that you could move it to be a 10-second tease, a 5-second tease, a 2-second tease, or boom.
Or the best one of all, the one that I used forever, even in Wenatchee when we had ABC News, was the time. This is New York Vinnie Radio, Seattle. It's 10 o'clock. Boom, and then you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Although I think
you can pause between the call letters and the time.
Yeah. It was it was an exercise. It was an exercise in having to be there on time.
Oh yes.
I mean, you couldn't miss it. It was embarrassing. Back in radio when people were embarrassed about things. It was.
I remember that.
Remember that when people would actually get embarrassed about things. It was. You didn't not want to be there.
Right. No, you had it's team coverage.
Your coworkers looked at you askance if you did not show up, even if you were doing it by remote, because I would have to do it a lot of times during the season from the ballpark.
And they made you last when you couldn't see?
Yep. And I was because they knew that I could take it up to, when I was at the ballpark, sometimes what would happen is I would take it right, just keep going until you heard the bing for CBS News. And I could hear that in my set, and then I know to stop. So, but we had a clock that was synchronized to the clock in the studio most times.
Yeah.
Except when the battery ran down.
I worked at a radio station that will remain nameless in Wenatchee, Washington, where the clock on the board was not the clock that they went by. Here's a clock ticking away. It's 20 seconds off, and nobody told me. So I go to the top of the hour, nothing. No ABC, nobody. So I'm treading water and giving the weather. Big 20 seconds later, the net comes in. And I said, "You guys got this clock all wrong." And said, "No, we don't use that clock. You don't use the clock that's on the board? No, we don't use that clock. We use this little clock over here that's on the computer." Why, you couldn't see it with the help of 20 men. And that was their air clock. But there was one on the board, but it never was synced the whole time I worked there. It never worked. It was close.
As a matter of fact, I think I showed you this before, but I'll pull it out again because it's dying. This is the clock.
Can't see it. Oh yeah, great.
It is a Radio Shack timer that cost I don't know in a day, but we had it's set up to the studio clock. We sync it every couple of weeks to make sure it was, and it's sad because it's got an LCD readout that's supposed to be backlit, but the bulb in the backlighting burnt out or something, so it's not backlit anymore. So it's virtually impossible to see.
So you have to hold it at the right angle?
Yeah, you have to hold it like this. Now I can see that it's 10:13:37. But if I put it up on the wall where there's no light shining directly into it, you're screwed. So, but I can't throw it out because this clock has been with me. I had this clock in my hand when I interviewed Jimmy Carter. I had this clock in the hand for most of 116 victories. The great thing about it is you could carry it in your pocket. This was before the days of smartphones.
Yeah, where you knew what time it was.
I mean, now you just pull out your phone and you just put it on the thing and everything works to Apple time. But in those days, you had to have a good piece of watch.
So what do you think is more accurate, Apple time or Greenwich Mean Time? Or should they be the same?
Well, Greenwich Mean is supposed to be the one, right? But I don't know what time is accurate, and that's usually the excuse I give for being late.
It's not your fault. It's Greenwich Mean Time, and it's so far away.
It's Apple time. It's Greenwich Mean Time. It's it's some kind of time that I have no control over.
In my favorite show, Skinwalker Ranch, last night, there's a phenomenon on one section of the ranch that is a quarter of a second slower than the rest of reality.
How does that happen?
It's short a quarter second. There's this spot where there's high magnetic and low electrical fields, and in that spot, an unexplained phenomena is that the time runs a quarter second slower than it does outside that area.
So theoretically,
space-time is altered.
If where did I see that? Oh, it was in Galaxy Quest. You ever see the movie Galaxy Quest?
No.
You should see it. It's actually a really good movie. But there's a scene in there where they play with time to save somebody's life, and it's kind of that same deal where it's it made me think that if you were a quarter of a second slower, if somebody died, you could pull them into that vortex and they'd be alive again. But it really doesn't work like that.
Well, you'd have to keep avoiding that time when they'd be dead, so you got to get around that somehow.
Yeah, and scientists will one day figure that out, and then we'll have every idiot on the planet still alive.
That's not what you mean. Sarah Palin will live forever. Jim Jordan will live forever.
Sarah Palin looks like normal compared to what you see today. Come on. I mean, Sarah Palin looks like, she's a whack job, but is she half as wacky as Marjorie Taylor Greene?
About half, yes.
Half. Is she half as wacky as Lauren Boebert?
I think it takes 3 Sarah Palins to make one Marjorie Taylor Greene. And there's some other ingredients too that are unsavory, and I won't get into them.
At least Sarah Palin was somewhat attractive, when she stand up. The Marjorie Taylor Greene looks like she wants to kill you.
And when you say at least, what do you mean by at least?
Well, it's all at least when it comes to, the Republican women who have decided that they are going to save the country. It's so interesting to look at the Democratic women as opposed to the Republican women. You know,
It's like a wrestling match.
yeah. I mean, you look at the Democrats and who are Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton and um, Kamala Harris. I mean, it's very motherly, very liberal. Very. I'm going to take care of you. Women that you would want them to wrap their arms around you and take care of you if you were sick. You would want them to bring you chicken soup. You
And
would
would you
want
want?
them to ease your pain.
But you wouldn't want Marjorie Taylor Greene to get a grip on you.
I wouldn't want Marjorie Taylor Greene near my food.
She's a bouncer. That's what she is. She's a bouncer.
She's a scary, scary woman. Not just in what she says, but also what she does. I mean, it takes a special kind of woman to run down the street after somebody and scream at them. It takes a certain kind of woman to stand up there and lie like she does.
One of the aspects of Trump life is that you must never back down, Vinny. You know this. You must never apologize, never say you were wrong, never say you misspoke, never say that was an error. Just keep pushing ahead. And when she heard that rule, she said, "I can do that. That's something I'm good at. I can never back down, never apologize, never make a mistake."
It's pretty amazing. I mean, when you think about it, when you think about the whole subset of Trump Republicans, that there's just that exact thing. They can't be wrong.
They are
They
not wrong.
are right no matter what. Trump is right no matter what.
And you know what? Every day he's giving more evidence to the prosecution by taking that stance. Every day he goes on television and makes some other ridiculous comment that's going to be used in court against him as direct evidence of what he did with the materials that he's accused of mishandling.
How could you be a lawyer for him? How could you? I mean, he's going to have to get legal aid by the time he's done.
They have their standards, Vinny. I'm sorry. They have their standards.
I mean, really. I mean, it's so bad. How could you? If you are the staunchest conservative, the staunchest Republican, even if you believe everything that the new Republican Party is trying to put out there,
the Robert F. Kennedy Republican
trust
Party.
Trump to be your messenger. How could you trust him to be the person that you entrust with your message?
He was sent by God. It's pretty obvious. A very angry and sometimes out of control God, but God nevertheless sent Donald Trump. What kind of God, I can't say. Didn't get his name. He wouldn't sign for anything when he delivered Trump, and has been a mess ever since he got here. We're not taking this guy till you sign that you're responsible. No, I'm signing nothing. Here's your man.
It's like when you deliver the snake at the zoo, right? You have to get the signature, or else you can't leave the snake. So what do you do with the snake?
I'm not certain I know the answer to that.
Yeah, no, I think it's something that you really have to think about. What do you do with the snake?
Do you ever see that video on YouTube where this bird that looks sort of like a emu walks up to a cobra who is poised ready to strike him and end his pitiful bird life, and he just steps on the cobra's head with his big old foot and just whomps him on top of the head, and the cobra never had a chance. You thought it was all this poor bird is going to be all snake. It was not. It was all big bird just stomping on that cobra's head. A couple whacks and he didn't know where he was.
Now why do you say that the bird had a miserable life?
I said you thought he was going to end his miserable life, but in fact, it was the other way around.
Yeah, I think
it looked as if he was clearly overmatched. A bird against a cobra, and the cobra was already up and doing his thing with his vents out.
Yeah, he's ready to strike, and then the bird goes, "Not today."
Boom, with his big foot.
Well, yeah, they got them big talons,
Yes.
I mean, it's like when you see I mean, it's a beautiful sight, but except if you're the fish, when, you see the eagle like swoop down on the water and he sees the fish and boom, he goes down and he grabs it in his talons and there's the eagle flying away
with lunch.
the fish is just like, that's it. It's over. See you later. And boom. And the bird goes off, and I guess him and his little family, the little birds,
Have salmon.
eat the fish, have salmon for dinner. And that's why they're so in shape and they can fly, because they eat salmon every day.
What do you think of Teddy Roosevelt's idea he was going to change the bald eagle as the symbol of America and replace it with the grizzly bear? He thought the grizzly bear was undefeatable. He thought that it was an image of durability, viciousness, size, weight, threat, with somebody with no natural enemies except for man.
Yeah. Well,
it didn't happen, but that was his idea.
Yeah, but you run from a bear. Well, you don't run. Actually, you try to make yourself big and scare it. But you don't run from an eagle. An eagle there's a certain beauty about an eagle. I mean, I think so. I think that there's a certain beauty about watching an eagle in flight and what they do and the way they effortlessly move their wings. The last time I saw a bear was hanging out a second floor window on a news show. he looked like a cat burglar.
That's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, with bears.
There's your national. I've never seen an eagle hanging out a second floor window.
Eagles don't break into your cooler when you're camping in Yosemite, usually.
Yeah, that's why they have to have them bear lockers. I mean, you put the food in there. Plus, I don't, 6 to 5 half a dozen the other. Who cares, really?
Well, you look at it, a bear has an interesting face, but he doesn't have the look in his eye that a bald eagle has, which is like no other bird. Some birds of prey have a similar eye structure, but his beak and that look in his eye, he seems to be, for a bird, to be all business.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of dicking around. There's not a lot of excess in the eagle. Is that I'm here to do my job. My job is to grab this fish, out of the water, bring it home to my family, and they eat. Very simple.
Also, sometimes I coast around. I soar. I'm good at that.
I go this way. I go that way. Sometimes I go this way, and I do it over water, over land, over mountains.
Something you won't see a bear be. He may slide down a mountain for fun, but that's the end of his soaring.
And the other thing would be, if it's, let's say it was the bear, and it's 1971 in I don't know, Topanga Canyon or something like that, and these 5 musicians get together. What do they call themselves? The Bears?
They could call themselves the Bears, but chances are they'd have to call themselves the Large Birds.
The New Birds, which did with the name Eagles.
Exactly. They were the New Birds in some ways.
Yeah, in many ways, they were the New Birds. So that would be another problem.
Also, a grizzly bear is a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous element to society. You don't know if it's going to attack. You don't know if it's going to rip the door off your car. You don't know if it's going to tear up the camp. You don't know. It's not a reliable companion in the woods. A grizzly bear is a danger to you. Whereas chances are an eagle is not going to attack an individual.
Right. You got like a whole big head of red hair, which they'll mistake for like twigs or something. No, the bird is going to fly around, going to look at you, say, I can't lift that. Now, maybe not the same for your Chihuahua.
Sorry about that. I am so sorry about your Corgi.
If you got a Chihuahua or a Corgi or a Poodle or a toy, a little toy dog, maybe they look at that and go, that looks like dinner.
That looks.
Come down and grab it. It's been known to happen around here, even with, you get a few eagles that come around here, and every once in a while you look in the next door social media for neighborhoods thing where everybody is free to be as racist as they want, and they'll say, well, I was walking my dog along the beach, and all of a sudden, boop, all I had was an empty leash.
The last eagle I saw in person was over Mercer Island.
Yeah, they come down. I mean, there's when I take my trips up north, I almost always wind up seeing one or two of them.
Sure.
Especially if you go out by the beach at Camino Island. There's
That's where they
always
hunt.
seems to be. Well, Mikey, I think the Republican plan is working.
They have a
Uh,
plan?
yes, we often talk about the Republican plan that says the stupider you can keep people, the better off they are. You don't want
It's
them to get people get educated
it's
and try to figure out what's going on.
we're not for that.
We're not for that. We're for keeping people as dumb as they can be, so this way they'll believe the crap we tell them.
All right, we're for
They'll
that.
believe, whatever, whatever tax cuts we want to give to the rich, they won't worry about. Well, the New York Times this morning is reporting that the math and reading performance of 13-year-olds in the United States has hit the lowest level in decades.
I'm
Last
sorry about
time
that, Vinny,
reading
but
performance was this low for 13-year-olds. Scott Shannon was on the air at Z100 in New York, 1990. In
the
reading,
problem with that is
2004.
we're too stupid to do anything about it. There was a time when we could have made a correction to that, but I think it's just going to spin out of control at this point because we're telling teachers what they can and cannot teach. We're changing the curriculum. We're hiding history. We're changing the reality that should be taught in schools. And so it's not any surprise probably that people have gotten dumber, probably with the help of social media. Can't spell,
Yeah.
can't add, can't think. And the funniest thing about it is ask any question concerning geography. Where is the state of Illinois, for instance? You're going to get some funny answers.
Oh, yeah. I was just looking at something yesterday where they asked people where the Pacific Ocean was. And
That's a
like
hard one.
30% of the people that they asked in a random survey couldn't tell you where the Pacific Ocean was. Couldn't point
Really,
it out on a map.
really didn't know. Had no idea. Had never come up before in a conversation.
So if you wonder why the Chinese and the Vietnamese and the Koreans are inventing things and are doing things and are moving their economies along, although the Chinese economy has hit a couple of bumps, it's because those kids get an education. The philosophy there isn't to keep them stupid. The philosophy there is to get them as educated as you can so that they can develop more and get the smart ones and give them more of an education and get the dumb ones and put them out with the can out in the street sweeping.
And there's your Republicans' plan coming into focus once again, Vinny, because what leaders that we're currently watching run for president are trying to destroy the public school system in terms of what they can teach, what reality can be taught, what history can be taught,
Well,
what they call cultural Marxism.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I would think that it's a combination of factors, but if you try to take money away from things like education, books, if you tell people that there's books that they shouldn't be reading, if you tell teachers, as you are saying, how to teach, if you tell teachers to teach kids half a story
under threat of losing their job.
Yeah, that there's going to be consequences to pay for that, and maybe these are the consequences. I've always believed that there are certain political people in this country that believe that you have to keep America dumb. That the dumber you keep America, the better chance they have of staying in office, of getting into office, of robbing the kitty, of doing what they want to do. And I think sometimes the Trump thing really illustrates that.
Stay out of the voting box. Do not vote. You can't trust the vote.
No, vote for me because look at all this trouble we have in schools. I just I think it's the saddest thing besides the submersible. I think this is the saddest thing in the news today. I think this is, if you want to look at something that's going to point toward this country being destroyed, I think this is it right there.
That's the way you can destroy generations efficiently and at the same time. The submersible is just a way to destroy millionaires 5 at a time, because apparently what we're going to find out, Vinny, is that this thing was suffered from a lot of technical problems all along, that it had gummed up before, that this was a pig in a poke. You had the money, but they're sitting cross-legged and barefoot on the floor of this thing. There's no chairs. There's one toilet. It's open air. No one can stand.
Yeah,
I hope
you
they're all
wouldn't get
alive.
me in there. I mean, I don't care.
I have too much claustrophobia for that. No way I'm going down with that.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't get me in there. But that being said, you still hope that there's hope against hope that somehow they can figure out a way. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it.
I don't know
Even if they find this thing and that thing's at the bottom of the ocean next to the Titanic, there's no way. I don't think, but I don't know.
What kills me is they don't know
I'm
they don't know where it is. Here's this thing going 2 miles deep. It doesn't even have a locator on it. Where are you? I don't know. Well, turn your locator on. Oh, damn. We forgot that. So even if you got to the depth of where they happen to be, you still wouldn't sign. There'd be no beep. There'd be no sonar. There's no signal coming out.
They're banging on the side of the hull of this thing, and I guess they can hit, the things the sonar buoys that they've dropped in the water have detected. They've actually heard the banging. So,
but they don't know what they're hearing though.
Yeah,
I think they're having second doubts.
No.
Right.
I heard a guy. I think he was on the NBC streaming news. I don't know where they dug this guy up from, but I guess he was friends with one of the people on this thing. And
the one that called him PH.
And he's been he's been down in it and everything. So they asked him, the woman asked him that's hosting the show, asked him, said, well, how would you look for this thing? So he said, well, I'd start at where it went down, where they put it in the water. I'd start there. In essence, answering the question the same way my father would when I would say I lost something. Where'd you see it last?
Yeah.
Well, if I knew that, I'll find it. And then the best part was, though, they're talking to him about, and he's saying, well, it'd be really tough for them to rescue them, even if they find them. They're 2 miles down. They're this, they're. He says they're dead in the water.
No. Yes, they are.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, you could say that. You might want to wait another few hours, but
you might also think of something else to say, but it's too late. You blurted that one out.
Late, you said it. Yeah, the dead in the water remark was, I mean, you were waiting for somebody to say. This guy, turned out to be the guy. Is the nation as fascinated with this as I have been over the past 24 hours or 36 hours? I mean,
it's leading all the news.
This is almost the equivalent of the girl in the well, right? I remember the girl in the well that the whole nation was watching, and
that was Timmy in the well, and Lassie got him out, as I remember.
Well, hey, listen, there's an episode of Superman that covers this.
What? Tell me how Superman would do this. He would fly down, find him, and bring him up. That's what he'd do.
There's an episode of Superman where these people are trying to keep Superman occupied for an hour or something. So they get Perry White, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen to get into this bathysphere. And so they're in the bathysphere, and Superman comes. And he gets in there with them, and the
Oh,
door
shit.
closes, and they start lowering the bathysphere. And Superman's in there, and they're lowering it down. And once they get a little bit down, he says, I can't break out of here. I could get out, but you all certainly be killed from the water pressure, metal, and everything like that. So, I'm afraid we're stuck down here. And Superman's looking around, and he sees the plate on top of the bathysphere that holds the cable. And he gets a great idea. He says, I know what. He pulls the plate down, and he starts pulling the cable, and he pulls them up.
Oh.
And they get back up to the top, and there's a lot of water and everything. And he's standing in there, and Lois Lane is arguing with him, saying, but Superman, how are you going to get out? And he looks at her like kind of pissed off and says, well, obviously, I'm going to let this cord go, and then this thing's going to sink back out to the bottom, and I'm going to bust out of here. Now get the hell out of here so I can go.
But Superman.
I think it was Superman's wife, that episode, if I'm not mistaken. And I might be, because I get the one where Superman marries the police detective.
Why did they have to keep him busy for an hour?
They were trying to rob an armored car, I think.
There you go. More like it.
Yeah, I think they were trying to rob. I mean, I think the bad guys. It wasn't. I'm trying to think of who the bad guy was in that one. It wasn't Ray Hetherington. Ray Hetherington, Joey Hetherington's father, but it was one of that crew of crooks that they always run through the Superman shows. There was like 10 crook looking guys.
You could tell by the suits they wore that they were crooks.
Yeah, you could. You knew that they were crooks because they had flashy suits and pins in their ties and everything. And there was always a stupid one to go along with the smart one.
Yeah. And remember what I told you. And they always give him the job that he can't mess up. And of course,
right. And of course he messes it up. I'm the boss. I could ask boss. But Superman, I mean, this is truly a job for Superman. He's the only one that could really go down there and, lift the sub up.
Well, how much air do they have about?
Well, no, I mean, it's getting down to nubs, man. It's getting down to, I would think that they have less than 24 hours worth. Let me see if I can jump on the website here and see what's going on. And of course, there are now those who question, saying, "Well, why should we go? Why should we go rescue them when they knew full well what they were getting into?"
I don't think they did. I don't believe they did.
Okay. Search focuses on area where underwater noises were picked up. Canadian planes have picked up unidentified sounds. Let's see. It doesn't say here how much time they have left. This is 17 minutes ago. They did an update. There's all the planes that are looking for these people. 20,000 feet under. 20,000 leagues under the sea. There you go.
It's got a nice ring to it. Write that down.
Yeah. I know a buddy of mine, Jules, might want to.
He's always scribbling about something.
Yeah, 36. I would say, well, here they say crews are operating under the assumption that they have until Thursday morning to find the missing submersible and rescue its occupants based on what they know about its oxygen supply. And that was written 2 hours ago on the New York Times website from an interview with the BBC.
And one of the interviews I heard yesterday was because of the depth that they believe that they attained, it'll take 2 hours to get them back to the surface, so they don't get the bends. Or as Mike Nelson of Sequest will tell you, it's called Rapture of the Deep.
Sea Hunt, yes, yes.
Sea Hunt. People got Rapture of the Deep every week on that show.
One of my all-time favorite shows. Lloyd Bridges was so cool in that show.
Yeah, he was the best.
He was, yeah, he really was. He was
totally. And he got Rapture of the Deep once.
Yep, Mike Nelson, man. Yeah, he just the whole thing, man. The theme, the da 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 da. I remember that used to come on when I would get home from school when I was a kid, man. Because that was another. That wasn't a network program. That was a Ziv. That was like Highway Patrol.
Yeah,
it was a Ziv production.
In Ziv, black and white.
In beautiful black and white. But yeah, Lloyd Bridges was cool, man. I forget, probably during the pandemic, I ran across this serial that he was in as a secret agent. Like one of those 11-part, they'd show it on Saturday morning. Tune in next week for Agent 99, And
he's always caught in a burning building and he always gets out.
Yeah, he's always getting out of trouble, and he's over in some Far Eastern port, and with a bunch of criminals and Japanese, because it's 1939 or 40 or something like that. So they've worked in the propaganda to it, and but it's really it's fun to see him, in that role. I mean, there's he did a bunch of noir movies, but I don't know what was his biggest movie role.
I can't think of one. No, Sea Hunt was it.
Yeah, well, he was in Airplane 1 or Airplane 2. Airplane 1 he was in.
And he was funny.
He was hilarious. Well, it's funny how guys, I mean, you think about it. Lloyd Bridges, Leslie Nielsen,
right.
Who was the guy that was Leslie Nielsen's partner on Police Squad? Arthur Kennedy. Those kind of tough guys of the 50s movies all turned into like comedic actors.
They did well when they played against their part.
He was a badass. I'm sorry?
They did really well when they played against their type.
Yeah.
You're the tough guy detective. You're gonna be a funny pilot. Yeah, I think I am. I think I will be a good funny pilot.
There's a good acting range to see them. I mean, Leslie Nielsen probably was the master at that, because he.
And they did the same thing with Lee Marvin in Cat and Baloo. They did the same thing with Lee Marvin. He was a comedian drunk. And he had an alcoholic horse, if you remember. He would both get high and lean against the barn.
I gotta watch that. I haven't seen that movie in a long, long time, man. That was a great movie. Stubby K and Nat King Cole walking around as the minstrel, as the
Greek chorus.
Yeah, and it's funny because I read an interview, I think it was with Robert Altman, who said that that's where he got the idea for the strolling music guy in MASH.
Oh.
Remember MASH had Loudon Wainwright, I think, was the, in the first year of the television shows, but in the movie, there's a guy who walks around and sings kind of what's going on. And Altman was saying that Cat Baloo was where he had gotten that idea.
Well, they got that idea also from the Greek chorus in the ancient Greek theater, where they had a group of people who watched all the action and made comments on it, and maybe even will give you a warning. We should warn him, but he can't hear it. So watch this next step. It's gonna too late. Fate has taken him.
Nowadays they call it the press box, right?
Yeah. So
Uh,
something that California had, we don't have anymore, and we gave it to you yesterday when your taxes went up 32 cents a gallon, and now you have the most expensive gas in the nation, not California.
do we?
Yep.
Well, I always get upset about that stuff, except for about a minute. And then I stop and say, we don't have a state income tax.
It's true.
So,
Well, we have one here, I can tell you that.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's hard for me to complain about taxes when right off the bat you don't have a state income tax. So the money's got to come from somewhere.
you have to attach it to some purchase.
Yeah. So that's why when you build transit systems, you have to pay $700 or $800 to register your car. That's why when you get a building permit, it costs you probably double of what it
You
might.
pay.
Yeah, I mean, you pay. You don't get around it. You just don't
But you
pay it
think
as
you
an
do.
income tax. But
I like the people who say, I never asked for this.
roads,
I never asked for new roads. I never asked for a nice house. I never asked for safe community. I never asked for the fire department to come when I need him. I never asked for any of that stuff. What are we
yeah,
paying for? This is crazy. It's gone nuts. They're out of hand. The Democrats have ruined our state. I never wanted any of this.
I don't use the schools. What do I have to pay a school tax or property tax for? My kids are grown. Well, because you have 13-year-old kids that can't read.
But that works in Washington. That's fine. How do you spell Washington anyway? It's a long word. Can't we get a state with a shorter name like Iowa?
They have it already.
They're using it though, or they're using it.
And what's the one that they want to do? Oh, they want to do what is it? Jeffersonian, or Jefferson Land, or something like that. Where they want to take part of Oregon and part of Washington and put it together and mix it up with Idaho.
I think they also want to put the California Central Valley in there for population, and also it'd be nice to have that section of California that feeds the nation in their new state. But they're not going to be nice to play with, those senators from Jeffersonia. You think that Kirsten Sinema is a handful. Wait till you see the two senators from Jeffersonian. Wait till you get along with these guys.
Yeah, something tells you that they're not, yeah. Yeah, as Marjorie Taylor Greene said, well, you ain't seen nothing yet.
And she meant it. She really meant it this time.
What she's showing you don't want to see.
Well, I just want to adjust my San Francisco Giants hat. We won our 9th in a row last night. Came back in the bottom of the 9th inning to do it. And we would be the sensation of the National League, Vinnie, except for the Cincinnati Reds, who have won 10 in a row. And so all the focus is on them, and we're just cruising in the background. You know what's the big test? Tomorrow, we have one more game with San Diego. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have the first place Arizona Diamondbacks in town. And then we'll see what we have. We'll just see what we've got.
I like that there's different teams up the top of these. I mean, I'd love to see my Mets up there. I'd love to see the Mariners up there. But I like the fact that we're seeing some teams that we haven't seen in a little while.
Yep.
Up at the top of the standings. Now, again, it isn't even July 4th yet, so let's not start, kissing each other quite yet. But the great thing, one of the great things about baseball is that it has a 162 game season, and the trick is to maintain what you're doing in July or late June into September.
We have perhaps avoided the June swoon. San Francisco Giants are famous for coming apart in the month of June.
Yeah,
never putting it together.
So maybe it's different.
Obviously, something's amiss, and it's all because of these young guys, the rookies that are taking over the team and producing. So I'm proud of them. It's not easy to win 9 in a row, but they're gonna the job facing them is clear, and that is they have to continue to win. And the Mets could put together 10 in a row, Vinny, and be right back in it.
Yeah, I'd like to see something like that. I'm not convinced right now that they could do it, but this team that could come together. They have the talent. It's a matter of everybody staying healthy and staying not taking it for granted. I think sometimes there's already talk of replacing Buck.
With who?
There's I mean,
Tell me
the
who.
newspapers are buzzing back there about who
Has he
was the guy
lost
that
his
they.
interest in the game?
No, I don't think he's lost his interest. Last year he was a hero. Well, it was a hero until they, decided to start crapping the bed in September.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he wasn't so much of a hero anymore. Who was the guy that they hired him for the manager, and then they found out he was in the Astros cheating scandal, and they rescinded their offer to him. It, I don't know. Anyway, I guess that guy is in play again. I guess that he's served his time and his penance.
Part of the Houston School of Baseball.
Yeah. So they're talking about the poor Mets. I mean, they spend all the money and they can't get anything right. They're turning into the Yankees. Um, it's kind of sad. And then the Pirates, of course, have found their level, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's swirling.
They sunk to their level.
Yeah, but it's still good to see, just different names up there. It's good to see Minnesota in first place in the Central. And it's good to see, the Giants and the Diamondbacks on top instead of the Dodgers. God, I mean, it's, after a while, it gets kind of boring, right?
It does, because of the way we've learned to accept. Here comes the Yankee story, but the Yankees are in 5th place. Yeah, here comes the Yankee story. Well, then what? Here's the Red Sox story, but they're in 7th place. Here comes the Red Sox story. Now we got to go do the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are on a losing streak. I'm telling you, we're leading with the Dodgers. Who else? Well, they didn't even win today. We'll talk about how they almost did. The Dodgers could have won today had they just come up with 17 more runs. And by the way, the Dodgers seem to think that they've already made a deal for Shohei Ohtani. They say it's a 50% chance that he's going with them.
The Dodgers
That would break
too?
my heart. The Dodgers seem to think it's coming to them. The prognosticators, the whispers around the league say that it won't be the Giants, it'll be the Dodgers. But what if the Giants show them that it'd be more fun playing in San Francisco?
Well, I've also heard that the Mariners are in the hunt for that one.
What do they got? Have they got the money? It's going to take some money.
Oh, they got the money. I mean, I think it's the Japanese ties. To be honest with you, I think they probably had Ichiro give him a phone call and say, "Hey, might be where you want to play. There's more opportunities here." Who knows? You don't really know what goes on in the back channels. So, but he'll be able to go wherever he wants to go.
When Shohei Ohtani pitches, he doesn't bat. Am I right?
Right.
Well, that's a terrible waste. I think he should bat even when he does pitch. But there's no way to swing that, is there?
Well, see, they changed the DH when they went to the DH in the National League. They changed the rule around. Because I think he could hit, but you lose the DH. So
you can't field 10 men.
Right. So when you pull Ohtani out, then you have to send the pitcher up to hit in the late innings.
That's fair.
And for many
It's
of these
ugly, but
guys,
it's
it
fair.
would be the first time in their lives that they picked up a bat, or at least since Little League.
First time since I was playing Double A when the last time I batted. And what happened? It wasn't pretty. It ain't gonna be pretty today either.
I couldn't hit then, and I can't hit now. There's
Well,
just
that's
not a
not
lot of
Ohtani's
hitting going on.
problem.
Oh man. So it is it's the summer solstice, is it not?
Longest day of my year and your year as well.
Yeah, it'll be light out. I was down watching the sunset last night at 9:15 or something.
Oh yeah, you guys got it.
I mean, it was late, so it'll probably be around that. I mean, I don't know what the sunset is tonight, but I'm thinking that it's 9:17, 9:18, something like that. Check. Uh, let's see. Air quality. 9:11 is the sunset tonight. Sun came up at 5:11.
Well, let's see. Our sunset today is at 5:42.
No. No, it couldn't be. Sunrise
Let's
might
see,
be
maybe.
5:42.
Yeah, sunset 8:07.
Yeah. Boy, that's amazing to think that we get an hour and change more sun than you do. Isn't that weird?
It's because you guys got a different spot on the planet, as near as I can tell. You're up there where
Yeah.
they charge all the gas tax.
Yep. That's where we got the 12-cent gas tax that we added on. So now gas in some places.
We never asked for
$6
it. We never asked for this. I never asked for this extra sunlight. I never asked for it. I don't want to be charged for it. I don't like the sun coming up early in the morning. I never asked for that. People think in the Republican world that if you haven't made a special request for it, then anything has to be taken back. It's like Amazon. Send this back.
We didn't get this it didn't happen like this before the World's Fair, Michael. Before the World's Fair, the sun would go down at 7:30 like everywhere else.
A proper sunset, but no, we didn't ask for this highfalutin sunset.
7:30 for a sunset, 9 o'clock, you were in bed. Just before they started the reruns of Monday Night Football at 10 o'clock.
But what did the 13-year-olds know? Were they bright or were they just as dumb as they are today?
No, they were smart back then. They were smart because we had teachers in these schools.
Oh, that. Well, you can save a lot of money if you do it the Florida way. No books, no teachers. It streamlines a lot of things.
Yeah, just give everybody a one book, and you can all share it.
And remember, stand your ground. It's a good law.
So, Mikey, what are your top couple of summer songs? What song or songs do you most associate with summer?
Well, that's a hard one. Only because there's so many summer songs, but
yeah. I mean, there's a million great. I mean, even if you just go with ones with summer in the title.
There was an instrumental theme song to a surf movie called Endless Summer. Remember that?
Yeah, it was a surf movie, wasn't it?
Right. These guys go all around the world chasing the waves.
Yeah.
And there was a Beach Boy instrumental type thing that I think was probably done by the Wrecking Crew. And the band was called the Sandals, which was a studio name for them. And they did the score for this movie, and I think it had to be the Wrecking Crew, probably one take wonders. And there was a theme to Endless Summer that is very summery.
I'm thinking it's always, for me, it's interesting. It's always been um,
Somewhere in the City.
either Summer in the City or In the Summertime by Mungo Jerry.
That was a good
Those have
one.
kind of been the two. I mean, Summer in the City was very descriptive, obvious, very, but Up on the Roof has
By
always,
the
to me,
Drifters.
been that ultimate summer song. If you lived in an apartment building, you came home at night and you went up to Tar Beach, and just the way Carole King wrote those lyrics, you could just so identify with it on a summer night, going up on the roof and seeing other people on the roofs. Some people would take a table up there and they'd have dinner up there, or you see some other people would throw people off the roofs. I mean, it was a tough neighborhood.
It
But
happens.
yeah, but the whole up on the roof thing really drove home summer to me.
Plus, that's where
You
the
know,
people would go to dream and to
yeah,
fantasize about their lives to come.
yeah, because summer is about dreaming. Summer is about dreaming of when you're a kid. It's about dreaming of what's gonna be, and when you get old, it's about dreaming of what used to be.
I like the Sheryl Crow song. I want to chase the sun, I want to sit in the sun, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I want. Yeah,
I want to dinner in the
yeah,
sun.
yeah. But up on the roof, I think. I mean, I go with up on the roof. Summer in the city in the summertime. See you
How
in
about
September.
Eddie
Always
Cochran,
reminded me of
Summertime
summer
Blues?
and summertime blues. Yeah, by the well, when I was growing up, there was the Blue Cheer version,
Oh yeah,
which was a wee bit different than the Eddie Cochran.
same idea, same lyrics, very different
Same
delivery.
lyrics, same idea, but definitely a different tilt to it.
Oh yeah,
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, it just beat it. It
boom
beat
boom
you
boom
over the head.
boom 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 boom. Ding,
Yeah,
ding, ding,
I
ding,
mean,
ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding.
it totally. Yeah, I mean, it had a great.
And the Who did a good version of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to
But
help
that
you,
Blue
son.
Cheer had
Run it
that
with
had
him.
that fuzz box in it, man, and it like. I got to take two, and I gotta take me on vacation.
I remember leaning on the stage at the Avalon Ballroom as Blue Cheer was getting ready to play, and the roadie came in and turned on all the amps. Click, click, click for the bass. Click, click, click for the guitar. 3 giant stacks of Marshalls for each. It was a feeling of anticipation that this is going
Yeah,
to
I
be
would think
loud. This is
so.
going to be good. This is going to be worthy. And that's just what it was.
I
No
would
folk
think
music.
so, man. Yeah, that song. I mean, that "Summertime Blues" by Blue Cheer. I mean, listen. I love the Eddie Cochran version, and it's great. But there was something seductive about the Blue Cheer version. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe it was that 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 just blew me.
There's a Beach Boys song. They're obvious candidates for a summer song, but there's one that doesn't really talk about the summer, but it talks about the beaches and the places they used to go called Do It Again.
Oh yeah, yeah. Bum, 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 bum,
Great.
bum, bum, bum,
A
bum, bum,
great.
bum, bum.
If there's ever been a surfer stomp song, that's the one. That's the absolute best one. And that one's got a lot of character to it.
Well, I've been thinking about all the places we've surfed and danced and all the people we've met. So let's get back
Back
together and
together
do it
and do it again.
again. Oh,
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah. Everybody had to work on that song. I was just going to play out. No, we're
that's
all
a great
singing.
That's a great final verse, man. That may be one of the best final verses in any song. You know,
Yeah,
it pushes it all right into it, man. Boom!
everything into a few words. Yeah, that I love that one. I'll go with that one. That and Summertime Blues.
Yeah, do it again was a next to Breakaway might be my favorite Beach Boys song. Oh no,
Me
Caroline No,
too.
I think is also. See, that's the thing. You know, you have so many Beach Boys songs. It's hard to really kind of pick one out and say
If you put
it's
together
the
a
favorite.
weekend playlist, if you put together a weekend playlist of just summer songs, it would cause a sensation in a major market. They didn't play the list; they played all just summer songs. It was back to back. It was a special day. Who come up with such a great idea? Blow it out your cheeser. We've been doing this for years. It's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, yeah.
Should be
I think
done,
I
especially
think
today,
that's
the solstice.
yeah. We need to. You know, it's funny. We always talk about music, but unfortunately, because of copyright laws, we can't play it.
We can't play it.
We can't
Yeah.
play. As a matter of fact, I may get a copyright strike just for saying the words.
Whoa.
Um,
I didn't. I
yeah,
didn't think about that.
yeah.
Brian Wilson,
You know,
we promised to buy a Brian Wilson T-shirt if you cease and desist your order against us.
yeah. If you don't say anything, we won't say anything.
By the
Besides,
way, Brian Wilson and Paul McCartney were born 2 hours apart on the same day.
is that today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
All my
I
troubles
knew
seem
it
so
was
far away.
somewhere. I knew it was somewhere close to the beginning of summer. 2 hours apart. Pretty amazing.
Impossible. Yeah, especially because they both play piano so well.
God was having a musical day.
He had quite a day. Actually, he took the next day off. Nothing. Nobody born. Get out of here. We're closed.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right, well, I think we're gonna wrap this thing up, and then we will catch up with each other on Friday.
It'll be a Freaky Friday. Fill up your tank. Let me know
It'll
what the
be a
shock is
Freaky
like.
Friday. Yes, it'll be a Freaky Thursday if I get some things done. But yes, Freaky Friday. I need a Freaky Friday.
I got to go down and do my smog test. So I'll be seeing my favorite Japanese mechanic.
Well, tell him I said hello.
I
And if
certainly
he asks you
will.
to hold the thing up the exhaust pipe, watch him.
I know. Well, it has to be done. Someone has to hold it.
Somebody's got to hold it.
Have a good one, Vinnie.
All right, man. I will talk to you on Friday if the Lord's willing. The creek don't rise, Pally.
I'm gonna raise a fuss and I'm
Pete?
gonna raise a holler.
Yes. If I want to take the car to go driving next Sunday. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Well, I wrote my congressman and he said, quote, I'd love to help you, son, but you're too young to vote.
Boom, boom, boom.
Sometimes
Now
I wonder.
now you're being sued twice. Now another publishing company's coming for you.
There we go. Now I got EMI on me. All right, man. Peace, love, and
See you, Vinnie.
Manischewitz, baby.
I love that
See you
wine.
Friday.
See ya.